What's going on, guys? Dane here, aka Dr. Autoflower, back at you again inside the grow room. And today we're going to get into some more questions and answers. The last show we did on questions and answers came out really good. We smashed the goal of over 500 likes. Let's set the goal at 800 likes this time. I think we already hit over 700 in one day, so that is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I super appreciate it. The more you guys hit that like button, the more you guys put comments down below, questions for me. It really helps the channel and it means a lot to me. I don't make any AdSense and I haven't since 2016. YouTube loves to discriminate against our community, so any help I am super appreciative, and I just want to say thank you guys for all the support lately. Last goal was 500 likes. Let's try to make this goal 800 likes. Let's smash it, guys, and let's try to get out of the YouTube algorithm doghouse. And one more thing before we get into this episode, if you do want to help support my channel and you're interested in getting a new grow light, if you're interested in getting an optic LED, you can message me at Dr. Autoflower on Instagram, or you can email me at drautoflowerled@gmail.com. And I wanted to remind people that is a business email, so please, if you got questions and comments, don't email it to me. Put it down below in the questions and comments below. I'll get to them so everyone can see and everyone can learn from it. So if you're needing discount codes for a new optic LED, hit me up there. But everything else, please put in the comment sections down below. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the questions and start the episode off. Julio Ortiz asks, after it pops out the seed, should I keep my humidity at 60 till early stages of flowering, or do you have any videos you can recommend me? So the humidity thing I've touched on in multiple videos before, but I'll put it in here too. And the quick answer is yes, the 60% humidity is good for early stage vegetative and up towards when you start to flower. But it's not a make or break thing. Some people get really obsessed with it and they have to have the perfect humidity and stuff. I just don't do that. I don't mess around with that. Me, I want to keep my humidity as low as possible all the time because I do not want to deal with molds. I live in a super cold area. Right now I think it's like minus 22 Celsius, or I think minus 8 Fahrenheit. So it's pretty damn cold. And when you have cold like that, you really don't want any humidity building up in your grow rooms, because if you got windows, it's going to start forming on your windows, start dripping down like crazy if you're doing multiple plants. And that could lead to it dripping down into your wood, causing molds and stuff. You do not want that if you're in a situation like me. So I'm always just more worried about keeping the humidity as low as possible. My grows come out fine. I don't see it as like majorly affects my grows, so I don't worry about it. Some people like to micromanage everything in their grow. I just don't do that anymore. I move past that. I try to keep things as simple as possible and to try to mitigate any possible issues from arising, like molds and stuff. Also, I could be growing different stages of plants, so maybe I have some plants in veg and sometimes I could have some plants in flower. Then I would worry more about the ones in flower, and I don't want the humidity too high with the ones in flower, because the higher humidity, the more likely you're going to get molds and bud rot and powdery mildew and stuff. But if you do want to micromanage it, 60% is a good humidity to go with for your veg, and then when you get into flower, then you'll definitely probably want to lower that, at least down to 50 or so. Alright, next question is from Sky Diddle. If you use micro grow bloom, advanced nutrients, pH perfect, I'm guessing you're meaning, would you start with minimal bloom and then reduce micro and grow while increasing bloom as you get into flower? Nope, you do not do that. I've talked to the company personally about this, and that is not what you do with this nutrients. You give them the same amount throughout the entire grow. If you're wondering how I do it, I've already made a nutrient guide. Just go to my channel page, hit video, scroll down, and you'll see my nutrient guide. I'm pretty sure I did it for autoflowers and photoperiods, but no, you do not do that. You keep it all the same, micro, grow, and bloom, the whole grow. So let's say in the beginning you're only giving 2.5 milliliters, well, you're going to give 2.5 of each single one. Then you'd give 5 milliliters of each. That's just the way they made up the formula. That's the way I guess they feed. Other nutrient lines, you'd probably do what you said and customize it, but this stuff you do not have to, and it comes out with amazing results always. Jonah Jackson asks, I'm confused on the time frame it takes from start to finish with the autoflowers. I'm on week 3 and have healthy plants with only 4 nodes. When will they flower? So if you're growing stable, good genetics, you would look at the time frame the seed company says that strain is. So if they're saying it's an 8 to 9 week strain, it'll be 8 to 9 weeks from when the plant sprouts to when harvest time is. Now that's with stable genetics. You can run into unstable genetics that just won't flower in that time period. That's why I always recommend staying with good quality breeders that are known to come out with really good high quality autoflowers. Stay with those guys. But normally for autoflowers, they should start flowering around week 3.5. They should start showing sex, the little white hairs, and from then on it'll slowly start flowering more and more. And then week 4 to 5, they really start ramping up their flowering. They start growing a lot faster. And this is when they get the really vigorous growth and the transition between veg and flower for autoflowers. So without seeing your plants, I would say you're pretty much on the right schedule. Just keep an eye on the internodes and start looking for the white hairs to start coming out, and then you'll know it's starting to flower. The Mayo Road to Riches asks, how many watts would be best for 2x2 covering everything right now? I'm running a 150 watts. Yeah, I would say 150 watts. If you're running a high-end LED, then 150 watts is definitely good enough. A good 100 watt light could easily do that. 150 watts, you could do that. But normally you wouldn't go by watts with LEDs, you would go by how much your light can cover. Like the Slim 650S here, this can cover a 4x4 to a 5x5 foot area. So you want to have a light that can actually cover the proper area. But without knowing the light you're using, that sounds pretty good to me. Smitty's 5x5 asks, how many nodes do you wait to start Lst'ing? So Lst'ing, you could probably start around, some people do it like week 2. I usually wait till week 3-ish or so, week 3.5. You would probably want to wait till there's at least 4, maybe 5 internodes, I would say. Then I'd say it's okay to start tying them down and train them up a bit. Training early is definitely a good thing, but you don't want to train too early. Like if it's only 2 weeks, I definitely wouldn't start then. Chris Bethman asks, what Ppfd do you run early to late veg? So I go by par, and for autoflowers I would start at like 200 par and work my way up to 400 par at the end of veg. That's definitely a good par range to keep in between. It gives the plants all the light they need. It'll keep them nice and happy, you won't fry your plants, and you'll get some nice good vigorous growth. Craig YNWay96 asks, if autos look like it's starting to herm at 2 weeks into flower, is it best to chop it down and throw it away? I would say if you're getting full-blown Hermes at 2 weeks, then that is definitely an issue. I probably wouldn't leave it in there. If it's a plant that's like just about done flowering, like you only got like a week or 2 left and you see a Hermes pop out of one of the buds, I normally just rip those out. I've never really had an issue where all my plants just got, seeded up. Those ones that come out at very late stages of flower, for me it's not a big deal. Never really had an issue with them. Maybe you'll find a couple seeds in the plant, but nothing really worth stressing over. But if you are seeing full-blown Hermes at week 2, then I would say that's an issue. I would definitely question the genetics you're running. And I would say if you're getting a Hermes at that age, the genetics of it is probably not good. And this is why I recommend going with well-known breeders who are known to have very good genetics and don't do stuff like this. Personally, I've never had bad Hermes issues with genetics I'm using, but I'm also very picky of the genetics I run and what breeders I choose to go with, so that is something to consider. Personally, I probably would just chop it all down. If you saw my last video, I got into the genetics I recommend, and a lot of people put in the comments which ones they have seen awesome results with and are very well known. So definitely check that out and give you some good idea of maybe who else to go with if you don't want to run more of the genetics you have. Because it can be a waste. You don't want to waste your time growing plants that are, unstable. There's no point doing it. And that's why when people just randomly come to me, I have no idea who they are or what they do with their breeding, and they say, hey, can you grow my genetics? For me, if you don't have a well-known name and everyone's saying this is good genetics, I personally don't want to waste my time. Alright, so Sipa Soulfully asks, hi bud, I'm growing the first autoflowers in my life, and I'm in the end of week 7 and there's not much trichomes yet. Plants should grow about 11 to 12 weeks, so is it okay or should I start stressing her? And by the way, it is Back to the Future autos from Taste Buds. See, I've never heard of that breeder, never heard of that strain. If it doesn't look frosty or much trichomes at all, then I would say that's, it could be just not the greatest genetics. And that is one of the things you got to watch out for when you're going with autoflowers. If you're not going to go with, really good genetics, then you can come out with just like really mediocre B grade C grade bud, and like no one's really happy with that. Personally, I recommend not going with random people. Again, this is why I say go with really good genetics. Me personally, I say go with Ppfd. You'll never go wrong with her. You'll never be like, oh, this plant's not that good. Every plant that I've grown from Ppfd came out awesome, super dank, super frosty. Now, if you want to take the chance and just go with some random breeder, maybe you heard about them on a forum or something, or maybe someone commented, try it out, then you're taking a chance and you could come out with a plant that's, you know, just not that good, and then you're just wasting 2 to 3 months on a plant that you really don't even care about smoking. So again, I highly stress on, if you're going to get into autoflowers, take the time to look for really good genetics. If it costs a little bit more, well, so be it, and it's going to come out better. So you'll be happier in the end. And on the question on it, can you make it frostier and more trichomes? I think genetics are genetics. If the plant doesn't have good genetics, then the end result is probably not going to be good. The Mini G Garden asks, how do you manage to scrog with autoflowers? So scrogging with autoflowers, you would more likely need to do Lst'ing, so tying some plants down, because with autoflowers, some of them might get bigger, some of them might get smaller. And with scrogging sea of greens, you want pretty much your canopies all at the same height. So if you're using trellis nets and stuff, then it's probably a really good idea to tie those bigger ones down so they more match with these smaller plants. And if you need to maybe raise up some of the smaller plants so they're all on point on the same canopy level. Some people like to have more plants in like a 4x4 or a 5x5. I think the most I've ever seen in a 5x5 was like 20 autoflowers, so it can be done, but I've moved past that point. I don't really like to do tons and tons of plants. It's just so much watering and it's kind of a hassle. But anyways, that's my recommendation. If you want to do scrogging or sea of green with autoflowers, LST them and get them as even as you can so it's all a nice even canopy. So I think that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. And again, if you have any questions you want to have on the show that you want me to answer, put them in the comment section down below. Please don't email them to me. Emails for if you want like discount codes for a new light. And again, please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and make sure you hit the bell if you want to see notifications of when my next videos are going up. Super appreciate you guys, and until next time, peace out and catch you guys later.